What's up, good people? Glad you're here. Another episode of MyFi, and it is a good one. Talking a lot about New Orleans because I got my friend VScript on the show today, and you're going to love it. Man, we actually played a track. We never done that before on the show, but he's got a new single coming out, and we got the exclusive, and he played a track he's got coming. It's a great episode. You're going to enjoy it. Follow us at MyFi Podcast everywhere on socials. Make sure you subscribe where you're at. You can also follow me at Lee T. Baker on socials everywhere as well. Keep up with all the MyFi stuff and more. But for now, let's get into it. Here we go. Back, episode 33, my friend VScript on the show. Now, VScript is a dancer, songwriter, producer. He got into it through dancing. We talked about that a little bit in the show. Primarily now, songwriter, producer. He's got some incredible stuff going on. I'm going to talk about him more, but it got me thinking about producers who also like release projects. Now, if you're listening to the show just because you love music, maybe you don't know fully what a producer does, but producers are the ones who like flesh out the ideas. Usually they'll help with songwriting. They're playing keys, building the beats, like whatever it is in pop music. They may play an instrument, they may not. You know, there's producers like Rick Rubin who don't play anything really. And then there's producers who play everything, you know, or lots of things like Jack Anatoff did on the latest Taylor Swift record. So there's like a lot of, you know, variance in what producers do, but they're responsible for putting the ideas together and bringing them to fruition alongside of the artist. And so they're not always artists themselves, but some producers actually release their own music as artists as well. And so I just want to talk briefly about a few that I like that are incredible producers in my opinion, but also have like great projects of their own. And some of these won't surprise you, but maybe one or two of them will. Just I'm going to mention four, and maybe you got some too. We'll throw something on social this week and maybe talk about some producers that have also done great projects that you enjoy. So first for me, Dr. Dre. Dre was a DJ, you know, back in the late 80s and 90s, and then he dropped The Chronic. He was a part of NWA, but then he dropped The Chronic as his first solo record in 92. And has continued to make incredible music and been featured with people too. Dre, obviously one of the greatest hip hop R&B. He's even worked on stuff like that people don't, maybe you don't realize, maybe I can, you know, because when I learned, I was surprised. He did Hella Good he did the beat to Hella Good for No Doubt. He's worked on a lot of incredible projects, but The Chronic will forever go down as one of the best records in hip hop, in my opinion. Next on my list, Butch Walker, one of my favorite producers of all time. Rock and roll to the core. The dude just knows how to make records with mojo because he's a rock and roll musician. He's just a rock and roll dude. If you ever seen him, he had a band in the 90s called Marvelous 3. They had a hit called Freak of the Week. And kind of a, I hesitate to use this term, but Marvelous 3 was kind of a one-hit wonder thing, but they really weren't. You should listen to their entire record, that first record in particular. And Butch went on and now has a solo career that is just fantastic. He released a record a couple years ago, or a few years. Gosh, it's been a while now, I guess. 2016 or 17 called Stay Gold. Unbelievable rock and roll album. Another record, Afraid of Ghosts. He had another record that I can't remember the name of. It's like American Love Story or something like that. I can't remember, but it was kind of a concept record sort of thing. It's told a story. Incredible. That's probably the newest, I think, solo thing that he's done maybe. But anyway, incredible. But Butch has done like Katy Perry, Taylor Swift. He's done tons of incredible pop music, rock music like Fall Out Boy, incredible rock and roll music, incredible producer. Third on my list, Raphael Saadiq. Raphael Saadiq, I think his real name is like Charlie Wilson, I think is his real name. He was in Tony. Sadiq's done all sorts. I mean, he's produced all sorts of people. But the Raphael Saadiq solo albums are great, and the old Tony albums are awesome as well. And so that may be somebody you're not familiar with. No Loot, great Tony song. Anniversary, big hit for them. That was like early 90s, late 80s maybe. And then check out the Raphael Saadiq solo stuff too, and you can look up his discography because it's like literally everyone. he's worked with. And the last one I want to mention, Butch Vig. Butch Vig is the drummer in the band Garbage. Great 90s band. They're on tour right now. They've had a load of hits themselves, but Butch Vig is also an incredible producer. Most notably, he produced Nevermind for Nirvana, and is incredible, producer in his own right. He just knows how to get the mojo. And that the Nirvana record, one of the stories in particular on that was Something in the Way, which I think is the last song of that record. Kurt just couldn't, figure out how he wanted to record it. And then he was laying on the couch, kind of lightly singing and strumming on the track. And Butch was like, oh, that's it. And so they just recorded him laying on the couch. And Butch tells the story in the Sound City documentary of this recording. And that's what great producers do. They just know how to capture the moment and capture the song. And so when they get to release their own music, it's really cool to see them bring their own ideas to light, or to work with another producer to produce them, which is really cool. And so I just love studying music producers and learning more about how music actually gets to us, and all that sort of stuff. And being a music producer myself, it fascinates me. And so I was thinking about record of the week this week, record of the episode. I did some record shopping while I was out of town traveling a little bit. And I was trying to find something like, a producer, who's also an artist. I like to kind of make it make sense. I didn't care this time. I picked up an incredible copy of the Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream. If you're on YouTube or Spotify video, you can see I'm holding up. This record's been a little hard to get for a while. And this 2-disc, 180-gram deal sounds ridiculous. When you turn it on and Cherub Rock and Today and all those great songs play, it is it's outstanding, as it always has been. So if you haven't listened to Smashing Pumpkins in a while, go check it out. Siamese Dream is a great, great album. But I want to get to the show. So I got Verdell VScript Muller on the show. We just call him VScript, Script, whatever you want to call him. He's the man. He's a songwriter, producer, and artist. He's originally from New Orleans. We talk about that because y'all know I'm from Louisiana. And I love me some Who Dat Nation. Go Tigers, go Tigers, LSU. Tigers won the baseball title this week. Super stoked about that. So I love talking all things Louisiana. We get into that just a little bit. But VScript is based in Atlanta, Georgia now, so he's not too far from me. I'm just based outside of Atlanta. He's worked with Chris Brown, Justin Bieber, Ty Dolla $ign, Coco Jones, loads more people, multiple Grammy nominations. He's got a great track out now called No Cares featuring Ha Sizzle. And then on the episode, we actually play his new single, Lonely, that should be out by the time this episode drops. They're still trying to finalize some things on that. He's got some other songs like Sober and Voodoo and some other things that are finished. He's going to be dropping music all year. It's incredible. He kind of invented a new subgenre of like Afro beat and bounce music called Afro Bounce. And he tells the story in the episode. He's a super funny dude, super great. We had a great time getting to know each other during the episode. And we have a lot of mutual friends, but we never met. And so it's always great to meet new friends on the show when we interview guests here at MyFi. And I know you guys are going to just love this conversation, this episode with my friend VScript. VScript, what's up, dude?
What's up, man? What's up, Lee?
Yeah, it's good to meet you, man.
Man, same here. Good to meet you too, bro.
Always good to know another Louisiana boy.
Believe that.
Mm-hmm. I'm stealing that, man. That believe that. That's you. I've never heard anybody else use that. You got the trademark on believe that.
Believe that, man. It was a popular phrase that we used to use a lot growing up when I lived in New Orleans. So
I love it, man.
High school, so every time we had a conversation or we get excited about something, we go like, man, believe that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. I know we were talking earlier. You said you're from the West Bank, so you grew up where the good food was.
Oh yeah. West Bank and Elgin. So my mom stayed in McDonaldville, and we was right there by the borderline. So we stayed in McDonaldville, which is in Gretna. And then my other side of my family was on the other side of the bridge, which is Algiers. So we was always back and forth between those two because that's what most of our family is there. And then we have family that was considered like down the road, considered like Post Alpha, Bootville. So all that, that's the country. So some good cooking come out of that.
Yeah, dude. Now I got to ask because I'm a huge Saints fan. Are you a Saints fan? You a football fan?
Yeah, man. Who that? Who that?
Yeah, yeah. I love it. We used to park down on Earhart. Is it Earhart Street? We used to park down on to walk to the games, and we used to go to a couple a year when I lived down in Florida and growing up, and stuff. But man, I miss it, dude. There just ain't nothing like a Saints game.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah. Ain't nothing like that dome, man. The crowd is so loud, man. The energy is just unmatched.
Yeah, dude, I haven't been in so long. I want to go to a game so bad. We moved up here. We're close to each other. I'm just outside of Atlanta, and when we moved up here, man, I just haven't been back to a game, dude. I'm missing it. I got to make it happen.
Got to. Yeah,
dude. So, growing up in New Orleans, I'm sure you grew up around all the best music. I mean, that's where all music comes from eventually, right?
Yeah. So my dad, growing up, he was my dad used to collect vinyls.
Yeah.
So still to this day, you walk in my mom and dad's house, you see all of his vinyl collection. So I just remember as a kid, growing up, we always had every Sunday morning he would just go through his collection and play like from the Isley Brothers to Rick James to Marvin Gay, like Four Top, even to reggae. Bob Marley, Steel Pulse. My dad was like, he was so much into music, so he collected all genres. So he had everything. He was never set on one thing. So like every Sunday we would just hear, he made sure like that was our Sunday ritual. He'd wake up, my mom cooking breakfast, and he had the record player spinning.
Yeah. Yeah. So did he play something? Did he sing or your mom sing? You grow up
he just was super. My sister did. My sister who passed, she was a singer. But my dad, on my mom, no, they was not into they was not musicians or anything. But my dad was just a music lover.
Yeah.
So he was always educate me on who this group was, and that was his thing.
Yeah, dude. What do you remember being like your first encounter in New Orleans? I mean, just being around that, I'm sure just being outside because there's a parade on every corner, for whatever reason. But like when you remember hearing music.
Yeah, so especially like music was always around us. So a lot of people don't know. I started off besides from that, I was a dancer. So before I started went full time into music,
all right,
choreography. So me and my brother, we used to go around the city, like all the top talent shows, like St. Aug, St. Mary's, Xavier Prep. We used to win all the talent shows. West Jeff, Perry Walker. So we used to get in all the talent shows, and dancing and music is always intertwined because you can't do one without the other. So.
Yep.
With that, between that and my dad, it was always around us.
Yeah, man. Now explain, because I know you got some kind of tie, some kind of connection to South Africa. What's that connection? You got family out there too?
So, so my tie to South Africa, my first experience of South Africa was one of my best friends. His name is Ross.
Okay.
He's born and raised in South Africa. So he has this thing called Safety Club. This is a collective of songwriters and producers that I'm affiliated with. So, man, he put together a big camp in South Africa. So that was my first introduction into South Africa. So when I went up there like last May, man, it was an experience. It was just incredible. Like it was just something that I didn't even know I needed.
Yeah, and you just got back. Were you at another camp over there? What were you doing over
there? So since then, I've been there 3 times now. So I went the first time, I loved it, and then I just been like I've been on been there working with producers like Luke Goliath. I met him my first time going, and so me and him locked all the way in, which through Ross, and man, so from that point on, I just was like tapped into the culture, and then a lot of the stuff, to believe it or not, Lee, it reminded me of home. It reminded me of New Orleans, like how New Orleans it has their own thing going on, has their own culture, have their own lingo. So it was a lot of I related to it a lot because it was just a lot similar like where I'm from.
Nice. Do you I kind of asked this a minute ago and then we got to talking about something else, but like what's your first memory of hearing live music?
I would say parades. Yeah. First memory is like parade season because that's all you hear, growing up in New Orleans, like Mardi Gras come, it's crazy. Then every weekend, festival season. So, we was always into that. My mom always took us to those things. So, and then a parade used to pass right in front of our house.
Oh, nice. I'm sure multiple times a day, I'm sure.
Multiple times a day.
So did you grow up on...
My dad used to have to get the cone so people won't block his drive-through. Yeah.
Did you grow up on jazz or like what got you? I know your pops played a bunch of different stuff and all these different genres of music, but what did you get into playing?
Yeah, so my first love was R&B.
Okay.
R&B was like, that was the first genre that I connected to. That was the first for me. From listening to Marvin Gay to Babyface to R. Kelly, Usher, Chris, saying all that whole 9 yard. Even fast forward up to today's time, Chris Brown. So R&B was Stevie Wonder. Like that was all that was played in the house majority of the time. So that was my first love. R&B always became my first love, and I started out in R&B as an R&B writer, and before I gravitate to other genres.
So you were dancing. Eventually, you learned how to play something. What was your first instrument?
I don't play.
What?
No, I don't play. Everything is
really.
Yeah.
How you so good at all this,
man? Because I always went off a feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't play. I don't play an instrument. For songwriting, for me, I was always around musicians, so my ear was, I could say it was just naturally tuned.
Yeah.
So I always knew. I didn't know the tech. I would say, as far as the right key, knowing I didn't know how to at the time. I didn't know how to articulate that. But every time when I wrote a record, it always was written in the right key, based off of my natural ear. And then I learned the technicality later. I learned what it was later. But in the beginning, I didn't know none of that was because I didn't know how to play. So I just only wrote off a feeling what I thought that felt right.
Yeah. And I think that music production being available to people who have natural ears like that, this may be the first time. Like earlier, you had to know all the technical stuff first to get in production, but now it seems like you can get into production and producing music and learn all the technical aspects of it, and even some of the musical aspects of it as you go along. And I think it opens up doors for more people to kind of be a part of producing. Has that been your experience?
That's a big, yeah, for sure. I would say that. Like even for me, it's like I think too. If I came in as a producer, then I would have needed, but I came through as a songwriter. So I was always a songwriter. Songwriting always started off my career. So I didn't come in playing. I came in, laying out melodies and stuff like that. But I didn't learn. I just always, like I said, when I hear the music, I used to always write. Basically, if someone on the side of me knew the keys and all that, it was like, yeah, this is in the right key. How you know? He's always asking me, how you know that? And you don't know the key. You don't know the actual key is in, but this is the right key. The song was written in the right key. Because I always say, well, I guess I'm just writing off a feeling. This feels right.
Yeah, some people just know. I mean, for me, growing up, when you wanted to get into music, my dad too, he listened to records and whatnot. He was, into like classic rock stuff. So I grew up with that. And the next step for me was I got to learn my instruments so that I can join a band. And it wasn't so much about songwriting. I played covers and did all that sort of stuff first. So it was later that I got into being creative. And I think in some ways that sort of boxed me in because I didn't learn how to be creative first. So it seems like you had the opportunity to do it like opposite almost, or were you a part of a group or something like when you started out?
No. It was so when I started out writing, it was just me and my cousin. My cousin was a singer.
Nice.
And I was writing all his songs, laying. Because at first before I got into songwriting, I was doing poetry first.
Nice.
And then when I met my mentor, I met Diesel Harrison. So Diesel, he did Lollipop for Lil Wayne.
Oh.
Stuff for Lil Wayne. He did all those things for Lil Wayne. So he was like my first mentor that introduced me to the music industry. And so he used to hear my poems. He was like, yo, you're a songwriter, because one thing he used to always say, and I think too, it comes from dancing. Mostly poets, when they read their poems, it used to always feels like they're reading off the paper. But he used to always tell me my poems had a rhythm. Because I always view everything as dancing. I always view everything as tempo. And so he was like, "Yo, I don't think these songs are great. You need to change these poems into songs because they feel like songs." And then he taught me how to melodically translate it. And then after that, once I caught on to working with him, that's when I would just like, he used to play stuff, and then I used to go off by ear and lay down melodies, but he'd always be in the right key.
That's crazy, man. That's just crazy. What was the process like for you learning some of the more like music theory or technical stuff on the back end? Do you think it was harder or was it easier?
It was easier once from after learning how to write songs, because I think so the hardest thing for me was translating structure. So when you break down a song, first verse, like knowing when to stop, knowing when to, pre-chorus, and then go into hook. So once I learned that formula, that right there, I never had an issue with the key of the song. Even though if I didn't know it technically, I knew it by ear. It always was right. So, but once I learned the formula, that was it. It was a wrap.
Yeah,
and then the technicality, like the keys and stuff, I learned that later. I didn't learn that till he taught me that after.
Man, that's so interesting, dude. I just I wish I had known you back then. Just to know what that process is like, to not know the technical aspects of it, but it just works in your brain. I like to think that's like maybe the way and I don't know if they didn't know the technical bit of it, but like Prince or people that just seem like so natural when they do something musical, you wonder if the technical stuff gets in the way sometimes of it,
Yeah. Because he used to also do like things like, he used to like, yo, write to this, he used to tell me, write to this track, and then I wrote it, and then we lay it down. He was like, yo, how you know that you wrote it in the right key? Like, he just always be blown away by that. Because I used to always go by, well, that's what I felt. I felt that was right. I don't know what else to tell you.
And I mean, all the stuff that you've been working on recently, like I know you got the single "No Cares" that's out with Hot Sizzle, and y'all got a party. I mean, you're gonna miss it because if I talk about it, the party's tonight. This episode won't air for like a couple weeks, so it'll be over by then. But I'm sure it's gonna be an awesome release party, and you got all kinds of stuff working. I've been on you about Lonely. I've been on you about Voodoo. Dropping those tracks because it's a whole new genre that you got going on. So I want to hear about the origin of Afro Bounce, this whole like subgenre thing that's just coming out of you.
All right. So I would say this, like the last 2 years, right? The last 2 years of my career has probably been the two biggest so far. From the Grammy nominations, we being Grammy nominated back to back.
Yeah.
And then, working on a lot of songs. And then, now in today's time, I feel like it's a business, translating to the business and doing what you have to do to stay relevant within the business. So I say that to say is, yes, it's been great getting the placements and stuff like that, but I wasn't writing what I want to write. It was almost like I was writing what I had to write to get the placement, to cater, to serve the artist. And so what I realized is when I went to Africa, Lee, it was a experience. Like I said, it was a life-changing experience for me, my experience, because it was something that I was searching for. That feeling that when you first do music, the innocence of doing music, like when you don't know, when you're doing music, not caring where it goes, not caring where it lands, like you're not thinking about the business, but you just, it's the hobby part of it. It's the love, the passion.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't felt that since I've been, like when I first started music in New Orleans. That was the last time I felt that. And when I went to Africa, that feeling came back.
Nice.
So it was so beautiful to go to the nightlife, experience the nightlife out there, and go into the different lounges and seeing everybody's moving. It was my first time being in a building where everybody is moving. Man. Like no one's standing around waiting for this person to dance. Like everybody's dancing. If you wasn't dancing, they're looking at you like something was wrong with you. I've never seen that kind of energy before, and it took me back. And all I could say was love. It took me back to love. Yeah. And so when you think of Afro beats, the subject matter is different too. The subject matter, they're pushing love. Love is the envelope over there. Mm-hmm. Every Afro beat, just like the record with Tim's and Justin Bieber and Whiz Kid, that was one of the amazing record. But it's the subject matter. So when you look at the music there, the subject matter starts with that. So then, so when I got home, I was on this natural high. I was just on this Afro beat high, and I was just I locked in. I turned down sessions. Me and Bridges, we turned down sessions and stuff like that. Which is my producer. We turned down sessions, and we spent like 3 weeks just going in. So I want to say it was Christmas last year, right? I had told him, I said, yo, I'm going home for Christmas this year because I never go home for Christmas, but I'm gonna go home for Christmas this year. Nice. So I got back to New Orleans, and then when I got back to New Orleans, my old friend Blair, my old partner, one of my best friends, he meet me in New Orleans, and so we met up, him and KC, my brother KC. So KC, he did, and by the way, Blair Taylor, he's a producer from New Orleans. KC, he lives in New Orleans, so he's a producer too. So they both work with, Blair worked with Travis Scott. He done did on the Astro World project. KC did Bieber with me, him, and Dark Child. So that was, and also too, that's my core. I started out doing music with them in New Orleans.
Man.
So it was like a full circle moment. Yeah. So it was our first time in the same room within 15 years.
Man.
So I called them up. I said, yo, I got an idea. And it was like, what's up? And I was like, yo, so listen, I did an Afrobeat album, but there's something missing. And it was like, what you mean something missing? I said, it feels good, but I'm not from Africa. I'm from New Orleans.
Yeah.
So I want to take my heritage, my culture, and merge the culture. And I said, yo, this could work because of the same tempo. Afrobeat and bounce is the same tempo. And they all related. Like, because if you think about Amapiano, Afrobeat, reggae, they all related in some, far as BPM. Mm-hmm. And so, man, we merged it. We did it. And it was like, yo, it was amazing. So No Cares was the first song we made.
Nice.
That was the very first song, and it was just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? It was an anthem. It was love. And so I always say Afrobeat is the love, and then bounce is the vibration. Because bounce, you think of dancing, you know, moving. And so you merge it together, and it makes love vibrations. And so that's how it was born.
That's awesome, man. It's like it is a whole new thing. There's been so much talk recently of like, what was innovative in hip hop music maybe 4 or 5 years ago when all the trap stuff started to be like in the mainstream. And now everybody's kind of, I listened to this, I follow this Instagram account, and this dude was talking about how everybody's using the same hi-hat sounds now. And, it's kind of the same. And like, everybody's waiting for, something to break, something different to come along. The same thing in like the Hispanic hip hop world too, where that reggaeton kind of thing has been so prominent for so long, with Bad Bunny and Mike Towers and people like that. Yeah. But the Afrobeat thing seems really fresh. And I don't know. I mean, I listen to a wide variety of music, but I don't know that I could name you. And this may not be, I don't know, like Burna Boy may be the only like Afrobeat sort of like I hear the most maybe from him. But it's not a real popular or not popular. It doesn't seem as developed yet. And it's like wide open for something like this to happen.
Yeah. And it's picking up. So like the thing is too, like they had, you gotta think they had a big year last year. Burna Boy, Whiz Kid,
big record.
Tim's. And then now you got Ira Star and DeVito. So DeVito, he's like, he's the biggest, like from what I hear, he's the biggest there. So him and Burna and Whiz Kid, like that's the three top names. But yeah, it's coming. So he got so much. It's still, and it's not, it's still growing. It's still growing. So it's like, it's just, man, that music, man, when you go there, you see the culture, you see the movement, and you hear, it's like they're dancing to love songs nonstop. And I just was so inspired, bro. Like, because it was just, the message is just love. It was just like positive, feel good. And then even a tempo Afrobeat, you can't help but the move. You can't help but you can't help but the groove to it. It's feel good music. It always, even just like, I don't know if you remember how Sade music was, how it just feels good. It just, that's how this. So think of Sade, but double time.
Yeah, I noticed even listening to No Cares, it seems like the Afrobeat thing, but you're on the top side of the BPM. Like you pushed it a little bit quicker. And that makes me want to move a little bit more to it. That makes it feel a little fresher.
Yeah. Yes.
So what's your plans? You got stuff sitting out there. I know you've been teasing people on social media with stuff.
Yeah, so my plan now, what I'm going to do now, as I approach this, at first, I'm going to do a project, right? But I'm going to do it a little bit different. So I'm going to put songs, so I want to curate it. Like, I want to treat this just like how Lil Jon did crunk music. How Lil Jon had songs out on himself, and then he'll have a song out on Usher. He'll have a song out on this artist, that artist. And then, the pressure's not on me to be an artist.
For sure.
But I can do it if I could be on a song if I want to. So that's what I'm going to do. I want to flood the sound.
Nice.
Move the sound around and just, move it. And then we're going to focus too. Like I just got with this, my boy Femi and my homegirl Z. They both are choreographers. So it's so crazy because Femi is from Nigeria and Z is from, she's be in New Orleans and she's between New Orleans and Florida. So they're going to come together and merge the NOLA dancing and the African dances together to make the whole Afro bounce theme around the music that I make. We're going to make this whole, because, I come from that world. I come from dancing.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We're that on the forefront. So that's what the visuals and all that stuff is going to showcase the most.
So you're going to shoot videos for all this stuff?
Yes, all this stuff. The documentary coming. We're gonna do a documentary on it where we're gonna have right now they have this DJ that's in New Orleans that I'm real close with. This is my brother, DJ OJ. And this is like it's God's timing, right? So he's already been taking popular, so he does his show mixes. He already take Afro beat songs, popular songs, and mix it with bounce. So it's just now I'm the first Afro bounce artist to pioneer. So that's all going to be a part of my show. So even before I come out, he's going to come out taking the Afro beat and the bounce mixes and putting them together, and then we come out with the dancing and everything, and it's going to be a whole show. And that's what I'm going to put towards, like, make sure everything visually shows the art, shows the dancing, shows the mixing of the culture, because that's what this is for me. Like that's my goal with this.
Yeah, dude. I want to know what your creative process is like. So you start tracking, coming from being a songwriter and dancer first, not an instrumentalist per se first, like not a piano player or drummer or whatever first. What does it look like when you're building a song like this from the ground up? What do you start with?
So the songwriter part of me, like I always have the pieces around me. So I always look at like how Quincy Jones do it. Quincy Jones was a great, Quincy Jones and Puffy, they have some of the greatest ears. Mm-hmm. Because they can orchestrate, they can build Belichick to play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like Quincy had the best of the best. So like Quincy didn't play every day, but Quincy had everything, around. The only difference between me and them is I songwrite. So, so I come in. So of course I'm vocal in that area, but then I have the right guys around me, the right pieces to bring the vision together. So I orchestrate the vision and put the play together, and they execute it. So from the melody, from the melody, you have Bridges in there, you have Casey in there, you have Blair. These are scientists. So it's like we're all scientists in a lab putting together these things. And my boy Eric, he's out in Sacramento, so he's a part of the team. And between them, when they're in a room with me, they just go where it's just we've been working together so long. They know my right, they know my left, they know what I'm gonna do, they know what I'm gonna like, they know what I don't. So it's just like it's a easy system. So we just been running a triangle offense over and over and over to like we mastered it. So the process, I would say, I start off with melody. Bridges may pull up a loop, Eric may pull up a loop, Blair may pull up a loop, and whatever loop catches me that has that feeling, I'll write the whole song without drums.
Oh, wow.
So I don't need a drum. So, and that's another thing too. Working that way has pushed me, because I always feel like when you write, I'd rather write to loops than to write to full produced beats.
Yeah.
The reason why is because when I'm writing to a loop, it gives me the freedom to go where I need to go. Versus when you write to a beat that has the drums on it, you're automatically dictate. You have to stay wherever the drums tell you to stay, so that you can't really explore as much as you want because you already know if the song is going to be urban or the drums going to tell you where there's going to be crossover with so loops, it could go anywhere. So I'm writing these whirly records on loops, and then they come and add different types of drums. So I always prefer it that way. But that's how I start off with my process.
That's interesting because it's such a dance genre, and the Afrobeat thing is so drum based that you don't start with a rhythm. I for sure thought you were going to say, "No, man, I put a beat in, and I start with the beat, and I start writing." That's just so interesting. It's like coming at something that you do all the time from an absolutely different angle.
Yeah, and then too. Another thing, I'm a dancer, so I come from that.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm thinking about dancing too. So before the drums, and then they come in with the drums to complement my pocket.
Mm.
So versus me, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like
so the drums follow your flow, not the other way around.
Yeah,
man, that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
What are you going to do? Live shows stuff?
Yeah. So this week, man. So I've been blessed. Essence Festival called me this week.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I'm opening up. I'm on the main stage at the Essence Fest in New Orleans Sunday with Missy Elliott.
Whoa.
Yeah, Missy's going to be there. So we're going to the same night she's performing, we're performing. So that's Sunday.
Man, that's amazing, dude. Were there live shows you remember when you were a kid? Like what was the first live concert you ever went to?
I say Essence. That was like Essence Fest, because it's a big festival in New Orleans. So Essence Festival, Jazz Fest,
yep.
The French Quarter Fest. So
do you remember an artist that you were like you saw and it like blew your mind when you were little?
Yeah, man, I saw the Isley Brothers, Frankie Beverly and Mays. When I saw them live, like they used to close out Essence Fest in all white. Man, it used to be crazy. So especially if you're from New Orleans, like New Orleans are big, like Frankie Beverly and Mays are big in New Orleans. So like you hear a lot of this stuff, music during Mardi Gras time. They're pretty much a part of our culture.
Yeah. If you're from New Orleans, you're required to know Isley Brothers, Neville Brothers, the Meters.
Yeah, Neville Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, like
you got Tank and the Bangers. Tank and the Bangers, they're amazing. Even before I moved to Atlanta, I used to go see Tank perform at Tipitina's.
Oh man. I love that venue, man. I haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that they moved it.
I'm not sure. I think what? I think they did move it. I think they did. I haven't been to Tipitina's in so long.
Same. I haven't been to New Orleans in a really long time, but somebody told me it may not be true. But
yeah, and even PJ Martin, man. PJ Martin too. PJ Martin.
Oh, Morton, yeah. Shorty.
Yeah, Trombone Shorty. You know what I'm saying? So, all the legends.
They got it going on. And I'll tell you, that was a time to grow up in New Orleans, like the 90s and early 2000s. The hip hop scene in Baton Rouge, New Orleans was like crazy, dude. Cash Money, No Limit, like
amazing.
Just something so fresh.
Weeby Bootsy.
Yeah.
Pipe you down.
Yeah, dude.
Yo, those are the days. Yeah.
Yeah, so you grew up around a lot of it too.
Yeah, so around that time, like 2000, from that time, 2004, 5, 6, 7, like that was a time, especially too for Baton Rouge, for Weeby, Bootsy, they had that little run. Cash Money had their run too. No Limit had their run. That was an amazing time.
Yeah, man. That was so fresh too, man. It was something new because Atlanta had their thing with the R&B and TLC, and they had Dungeon Family and all that stuff.
Goody Mob.
Yeah, all that stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so for New Orleans to have its own thing like at the same time, because there was so much going on East Coast, West Coast, I feel like during that, with Biggie on the East Coast and Pac and Death Row and stuff on the West Coast, all that sort of stuff, it sort of overshadowed at times how awesome Atlanta and New Orleans, were. And I don't know if that's where the Saints-Falcons rivalry started, Yeah.
Before it too, it used to be the Saints and Cowboys too. At one time.
For real, dude. Nobody likes Cowboys fans.
Nobody likes the Cowboys. Yeah. But
dude.
so That's pretty much, man. That's how everything. That's the whole vision behind this Afro bounce, and the goal is too. Like later on, I even want to throw the Afro Bounce Fest, where we merging African artists with New Orleans bounce artists and having a festival, like and bringing everybody together.
Where are you gonna do it? New Orleans?
Want to do it in New Orleans? One in New Orleans and one in Africa.
Yeah, dude. I just saw you got back from where were you? Greece. Did you go do some writing over in Greece too?
Yeah. We went. I did with Montessor. So it's this company called Montessor. They're dope, man. Shout out to Julia Ripton. Everybody, Andreas. That's my family. So they put together an amazing camp that I got invited to be a part of in Santorini, Greece, and we had a great time, man. Some amazing songs came out too.
Yeah, it looked like it. It looked like it, man. I mean, you got a lot going on, dude. You got big plans.
Yeah, man. Big
plans. All right, so you told me that you would set your stuff up where we could listen, because I've been on you about Lonely. Y'all, VScript's been teasing on his Instagram, Lonely, Voodoo. What was the other one you teased the other day?
Sober,
yeah. So he's been teasing all these other songs he's been working on, but he won't release them. And so he set his stuff up. So you're about to get an exclusive. Is this the first time you played Lonely all the way through?
Yes. This will be the first time.
All right. So you're going to get an exclusive here on MyFi of Lonely by VScript. This is the next single.
This is the next single. This is the next merging. This is the next fusion of Afro bounce.
When does it drop?
We're going to drop this. But today is June 28th. So like we got 2 weeks from now.
Okay. All right.
2 weeks from now. Loading it up so we can just get it. I'm just making sure we get the art cover and all that stuff right, visual. So we're gonna be ready to go within 2 weeks.
Yeah. So this may drop close to when this episode of the podcast is released too. So we'll make sure let everybody know. Man, when you're ready, let us hear the track top to bottom. Lonely by VScript.
Here we go. One more thing. It's Lonely, feature my boy 4 a.m. So I have a feature on this one. Dope artist, 4 a.m. Shout out to 4 a.m. Shout out to Ray. Thank y'all. I'm glad y'all part of this record. Believe that.
Yeah.
Only when you're lonely, that's when you want me. Only when you're lonely, that's when you're on me. Only when you're lonely, that's when you want me. Only when you're lonely, that's when you're on me. My new thing looking better than you. Cook and clean, love me better than you. Do the things that you don't ever do. New thing looking better than you. Cook and clean, love me better than you. Do the things that you don't ever do. Baby, don't waste my time like I ain't got no lie. Baby, my heart no park, I can't just let shit fly. You say anything to keep me close. You fuck up my vibe, can't stay no more. Why take me high to bring me low? Gotta cut you off, I'm a real divorce. Make sense to go. Kept sleeping on me till you lost me. It's your fault you late to the party. Triple, 42 triple. My new work, she all about me. Now jokes on you. Only when you're lonely, that's when you want me. Only when you're lonely, that's when you're on me. Only when you're lonely, that's when you want me. Only when you're lonely, that's when you're on me. My new life is better than you. Cook the thing, love me better than you. Do the things that you don't ever do. No thing looking better than you. Cook the thing, love me better than you. Do the things that you don't ever do.
You know it only take one call. I mean, do you ever learn that all? I'm the nigga that you feeling for. Fuck with me, but I was gonna be involved. Trust me, if it's real, we work it out. And I keep it, Dior, no Birkenstock. It get messy, that's why I keep them up. Like a jet ski, you know it's going down. Feel it. Treat like a fish and I'm a real kill it. pussy that just like a burner.
Ride it like a, bounce it like a, twerk it like a.
Only when you know me, that's when you want me. Only when you know me, that's when you own me. Only when you know me, that's when you want me. Only when you know me, that's when you own me. My new thing looking better than you. Cook and clean up me better than you. Do the things that you don't ever do. New thing looking better than you. Cook and clean up me better than you. Do the things that you don't ever do.
Yeah, boy. Dude, when that backbeat comes in, man, God, that's smooth when it opens up.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it's going to be out, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. And I appreciate the time, man. I appreciate you being on the show, dude. I wish you all the best. And maybe we'll get to work together on something too soon.
Let's do it.
Cool. Well, man, I appreciate the time, V. You have a good one, man.
You too, bro.
Take care.
All right, man. Peace.
What a great conversation. Great episode. Incredible. I love that song. We've never done that before. We never played a track on MyFi. So I think that's pretty cool. We got the exclusive of Lonely, which of all the songs that he's teased on social media, like Voodoo, Sober, Lonely's my favorite. Just the clip that I heard on Instagram. That was the first time I've heard the track, the whole track. So I didn't get a preview. It was awesome. Man. So I'm looking forward to everything he's doing. Y'all make sure y'all follow at VScript on social media everywhere. He's on TikTok and IG, just at VScript. It's in the show notes. You can also go to officialvscript.com to keep up with everything that he's got going on as well. But make sure to follow on social media. Make sure to follow MyFi at MyFi Podcast everywhere. You can also follow me at Lee T. Baker to know what's going on. You can check out MyFiPodcast.com for, links to episodes and whatever. But if you're listening, just hit subscribe wherever you're at, and then you'll get all the updates and whatnot. So go stream VScript's new single, Lonely, when it drops. Go stream No Cares, because it's out. And by the time this episode comes out, who knows? Hopefully Lonely will be out. Maybe even the same day. I don't know, man. You're just going to have to look for it. I linked him up in the show notes, so you can go check out his Apple Music and his Spotify and all that sort of stuff. But big thanks to VScript for being on the show. And until next time, you guys have a good one.